Welcome to the She Builds Show. I'm your host, Stefanie Olson, a licensed general contractor who builds new construction, renovates, and designs your vision. Today, more than ever, we need raw, authentic women who are willing to rise above society's norms, break those glass ceilings, and encourage each other to boldly build the life we were meant to live. So, honey, what are you building? Welcome to the She Builds Show. Today, my guest is Tara. Welcome to the She Builds Show.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. So can you tell the listeners the name of your company and just kind of in a snapshot what you do?
Yeah. So the name of my company is Under Construction Photography. I come from 5 generations of ironworkers, and so they're kind of my inspiration and what got me started into shooting construction. I worked in the office of like IBEW, and I worked at the office of the ironworkers doing compliance, and then I was a dispatch girl for 10 and a half years. And that also gave me like a really cool connection with the members as well, or the workers. You know, I had to deal with them on kind of a personal times because I was the dues lady, you know, and they had to pay their dues to us. So, but I enjoyed it. You know, I enjoyed getting to know the workers on those different levels. And yeah, it's perfect. It just pushed me in that direction more and more. Yeah.
So you do photography, basically construction photography, but I want this story. Can you tell me what life was like prior to this new venture, this business that you're running now?
Yeah. So prior, you know, coming from 5 generations of union ironworkers, I've got 2 older brothers that are in the trade. My father was the business manager of the local union here in LA. I have an uncle as well that was a business agent for like 9 years, I think. So growing up in just a really, really deeply embedded blue collar family, it really just gave me a sense of pride in what they do. Watching my dad, watching my brothers and my uncles and my cousins too. You know, I worked picnics, I worked rallies. Our whole family was involved from like day one when my dad decided to change his career path from being a hand out in the field to politics for the local union. And when that transferred over, you know, we got to see like such a incredible man, like be reborn, you know, in a way. And It was really inspiring. It was really inspiring. I mean, he's my inspiration on why I chose this path as well. You know, I just felt like his generation and my grandfather's generation, you know, they didn't have social media like we have now, and they don't have photographers out in the field. You know, it just was such a different time and culture and all of that back then. And so much was not documented to where nowadays, you know, access to our social media and our phones and everything, it opens up that world, you know. And I just really felt like, fast forward, jump ahead, I had unfortunately lost my father 11 years ago, and his untimely passing was very tragic to me personally because I idolized my dad a lot, and I watched him grow, you know, so much from being that worker to then being politically involved, fighting for his members. He took his oath so seriously. And so losing him tragically, unexpectedly, really, really then catapulted me into documentation of the workers. It was like the first job I went to. Immediately, there was a couple old timers out there, and they just started telling me stories about my dad. And I really, really enjoyed that. Yeah. Because again, it was like, you know, I got to see or hear a different side of him in a way, you know, that I didn't get to experience that these guys did, you know, out in the field. And so it was, you know, their camaraderie, their brotherhood. I just, I don't know. Yeah, I really, really appreciated them sharing with me these stories. And that's what pushed me more and more in the direction of documenting them, listening to them. And it was like therapy for me when I first started too. I kind of really pulled that in and used that to just make me feel better. And they felt good too, telling me these stories. You know, it was like a feel good all the way around. And I really appreciated the open arms, open doors and arms that these guys offered to me when I did come out onto the job sites,
So
and
tell
still
me,
to this day.
Yeah, I love that. And I can tell that your father is so incredibly special to you. I can't even talk about it because I love my dad as much as you do. I'm going to cry too. But tell me, where were you? What was the moment like? Because I was kind of reading on your website that you were in a job. I want to know what that job was. And then you saw some construction outside the window. Is that right? Do I have the story right?
Yeah, absolutely. So I was working for IBEW. Yeah, the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers. I was working for them, and we were in a high-rise building. It was, I want to say, a 24-story building right on Sunset and Vine in the heart of Hollywood. And the only window is the boardroom. Like, I'm sitting at the dues window. I don't have a window to see outside. So I would love to go to the boardroom and look out our windows because we had like a really just cool bird's eye view. We were on the 7th floor of just Hollywood all around. And I want to say 2012, 13, well, we had a recession. I was laid off, another IBEW local union. And then work picked back up again, 2012, 13. I started up with another IBEW union, Local 45, which was like the broadcasting side of IBEW, which was really cool too. I was always used to construction. And then so to see the other side of it, of the industry as well, was really a neat experience. But working there and having that bird's eye view of all of Hollywood and seeing the work boom, there was a hole dug right next to our building, tower crane erected, and I'm watching these guys erect this tower crane. And it was just the most like jaw-dropping moment for me because I mean, I've been surrounded by ironworkers my whole life, but to be honest with you, I had never actually sat and watched the work being performed. I want to say I was kind of in a little sheltered bubble of safety in a way, but almost in ignorance too. At the same time, I really didn't understand the depth of the work that these people are doing. It was pretty incredible. And so to have that view of these guys putting this tower crane up, I was like just so wowed by it and scared for them. I was like, oh my God, they're on this jib, hundreds of feet in the air. I knew that there was a couple guys on that job that I hadn't seen since my dad's funeral. And so at break time, I ran down there because I wanted to go touch base and say hi to them. And it was really in that moment when I went down there to say hi to the guys, they just immediately started talking about my dad. And I just kind of knew that this is where I was meant to be,
Did you have any photography experience prior to that moment?
No, not at all, actually. I mean, I always admired art and never thought of myself as an artist or someone that could create art. I just always admired it, from afar. But as soon as I started seeing what they were doing through my camera, I don't know, it really changed for me,
So did you just take pictures with your phone? Did you go get a camera? Like, what the hell did you do? You're like, you had a job and you just like,
I did.
I'm like, what did I need to know the details? Because it's not like that's just born and you can't just like, there's probably a pretty good stigma out there that most photographers are poor and don't eat well.
Right.
Because there's not a lot, you have to be really good at it to actually make significant money. So I mean, maybe I'm wrong.
You got to hustle.
Yeah.
No. There's a lot of hustle involved for sure.
What was that after that moment? What did you do?
Well, after that moment, I continued to shoot with my cell phone. That's all I had at the time. And I would just literally there was a job down the street. So there was the one next to my building and then another one like a block away where they were actually hanging iron. And I got to see that process of the job as well.
And your job just let you leave and go do this?
No, I would go on like my breaks. I would literally like run on my breaks to the job because it was a block away. I'm like, I only have 15 minutes.
That's awesome.
I'm going to make the most of it. And being in a high-rise building like that too, I mean, I love the outside elements and I just felt like I was trapped in this office, and I needed to break free every chance I had to go be outside and be a part of the elements. And that was another part of it too, is once I got a taste for being out in the elements, I didn't want to go back to that office job. I really, again, felt like I belonged out here. I needed to be out in the sun and, and just the people and work happening in front of me instead of, flipping papers and adding numbers, that monotonous side of it. I loved that job though, too. I really loved my job working clerical for the unions. I'm not trying to bash that side of it either. That was a great career for me. But when I switched, I never looked back.
So did you put in your 2 weeks? What did you do? You were like, I think I'm going to be a photographer and I don't have anybody who's going to pay me quite yet, but I'm going to quit. Was that how it went down?
No, that's not how it went down. No, it was a gradual process and it led to some things kind of happening at my job that I then eventually got laid off. And I was happy to be laid off though, because by the time when I kicked off this whole venture, I did like a sticker challenge on Facebook and I started to target and solicit like all these different trades on Facebook. And that was like my starting point too. That's where I started my Facebook page and that's where I created a name for my business. And that's where all the hands were on Facebook. And I wanted them to see what I was doing because I wanted them to get to know me. I don't want to case a job and these guys all looking at me like I'm safety or I'm going to get them in trouble for something, because when they see a camera, it's, there's a sense of kind of panic in a bit.
Yeah, you're OSHA or something like that coming to tournament,
right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and I wanted to gain their trust. I didn't want them to not trust me when I come out onto the field that they're going to get in trouble for something, and so building those bonds with the workers was really important to me starting it, because it's comfortability as well when you're a photographer and you're shooting people. I really think that there's a lot more involved in it that people don't realize. And in construction as well, these are some pretty interesting characters out here, know, and so you got to have that language. You got to have the language. You got to have that personality. You got to understand the culture you're in when you're on the job site. It's a different world out there, just maneuvering through all of these things and trying to find my spot where I belonged.
So what was your first paying job? Like who paid you to take a picture?
My first,
or did you sell a photo? Like what was the first thing?
Right.
All right. I might be on something.
It was a few different things that kind of transpired in the process of me eventually being hired. So I did the sticker challenge on Facebook. I had all these people send me their stickers. And then after that, I started creating t-shirts and I would put real photos on the back with the members, the guys that are in the Raisin Gang, connecting the iron. And they love to see themselves on shirts. I mean, they love to see themselves in general, right? Being glorified like that. But to have now a piece of apparel, it was really cool, and that was kind of another direction I was thinking about going. I was just not sure on how to make money at what I'm doing.
Monetize
right?
it. Yeah, you got to throw some things against the wall.
Right. See what sticks, and the t-shirt stuff, that was really a cool venture. I mean, I have a map in my room that I started pinpointing where I was selling the shirts to all across the United States and Canada. And that was really neat, but it was a lot of hustle. And I just was like, I had to borrow money to even get that started. And I got laid off my job and it was like sink or swim. What are we going to do? Well, I got to figure this out, like right now. And so I borrowed money from my brother and I started the shirts and that was really cool. But then I want to say I was out in LA, the 6th Street Bridge in Boyle Heights, downtown LA area was going to be demoed. And before they demoed it, though, there was a rebar company out there. I want to say it was LA Steel. And they were constructing these massive cages that they were going to be pile driving into the ground for the new bridge. And when I came up on this site, again, I was just wowed, and it's that wow moment of what are these guys doing? These rebar cages were huge, huge. I'd never personally seen a rebar cage like that before. So that was a first for me. So the owner of that company ended up finding me, I think, on Facebook and wanting to purchase just one photo. And I think I sold it for like $100 or something because I was like, I need to make some money here. And they bought it and I was super grateful. And then from there, it was a concrete company, Superior Gunite. And they brought me on and they ended up sending me to the Oroville Dam up north to cover
That's where I live.
them. Oh, okay. Yeah. So when that dam busted, right, that was my starting point in my career, really. I started with security paving. It wasn't even an ironworker company. It was concrete. But I was just happy to be hired, you know.
Right.
I'm actually getting paid to do this. Holy cow, you know. And it was an interesting thing, though, because what led to me being hired by security paving was I got off Facebook and got onto LinkedIn. And that was really like the place to be, you know, that's where your professionals are. And I was spinning my wheels on Facebook. It wasn't a waste of time because I was really getting to know the hands. And that's who I wanted to get to know. I wanted them to trust me if I'm going to be shooting them. But if I wanted to make money in this industry, I needed to be where the money is.
Right.
And it's not the hands. And they're the last people I would even want to solicit money from. I actually give them free photos because I love what they do and I appreciate it, you know?
Right.
And so once I switched to LinkedIn, that's when Security Gunite found me. Yeah. And then from there, it just started to kind of slowly develop. It was definitely a slow process. It wasn't something that just picked up and I ran. It was a lot of just time and marketing of myself, you know?
Was there ever a point where you were like, I got to do something else because I'm not making...
Yeah, absolutely. I did have one moment in time. I will totally admit to this moment. And it was, you know, it is what it is. I'm a single parent. I've got to provide for my daughter and I. And so I ended up taking a job at the Carpenters Trust Fund, which was cool, but I got a lot of crap from the ironworkers for it. And I was only there like a month. And then I got hired again by a crane company up in Seattle called Snell Crane. They found me on LinkedIn. And again, it was, they sent me up to Seattle to document, or no, was it Seattle? And then San Francisco to document this hoist system that they had. Yeah. And it was really kind of from that point then forward, it was on.
Yeah.
And it took me, you know, sharing photos on LinkedIn. A lot of photos. Every time I would go out on a job, I'd post some stuff on LinkedIn. And next thing you know, I get a message from Stacy and Whitback, you know, who's a general contractor. And they were interested in having me come out onto a job to document. And I've been there almost 4 years now, actually.
Wow.
And that job actually has paid, I mean, for my whole everything. I'm so grateful for that job. But yeah. And then it just, you know, doors just started to kind of open, you know, here and there. And, you know, certain products in the industry, like Red Wing was one of my first clients for products out in the industry. Yeah, that was way cool. I was really stoked to work for Red Wing. They were my first product client. And it was kind of from there, then, you know, other products started to develop, cat workwear, Fall Tech harness, Kishigo safety gear. Yeah. And it's just been
incredible.
Really kind of,
just momentum. And so I know there's also a piece of your business that is like branded content. Is that is that primarily what you say you spend the most time of your, like, you know, hours doing? Yeah, absolutely. I'm a huge branding content person, I guess, you know, on social media and stuff. It's all about just a lot of workforce development, you know, organizing, exposing who these people are and what they do in the industry, you know, because I know that the industry is lacking hands. And, you know, if I can help expose and get the newer, younger generation knowing what it is to be in the construction industry and how much opportunity there is here. And that's the thing. There's so much opportunity, you know, even in what I do. Right. Absolutely.
But, you know, just across the board in the construction industry, there is so much. And there's just not enough material out there for people to be aware of it, And so that's what I like to bring to the table is, this is, this is the industry I work in, and, your family can thrive. It's just a really good career.
What has been have you had like a favorite shoot or, job that you've gone on that just kind of takes the cake of all of them over the years?
It's so hard. There's been so many really incredible jobs that I've been on. I've been on 5 stadiums in California.
Oh, wow.
So that's pretty remarkable to have under my belt. The stadiums, the SoFi Stadium, the Warriors Stadium.
And are you just taking photos or do you do video also?
Yeah, I do video as well. Yeah, it's content creation, however, video or stills, I mix it all in there. And
you edit everything yourself?
I do. Yeah. I'm like a one-man band. I'm singing and dancing and playing guitar.
That's okay. That's how we got to roll. That's so awesome. I know that this goes deeper than just like pictures for you. Could you maybe describe what you think your mission is? Just maybe in a sentence, like what really is your mission behind what you're doing?
My mission, that's a good question, is awareness to the construction industry, organizing, bringing to the forefront who these people are.
Yeah.
Because, it's just, I don't know, I get so emotional behind it. Sorry.
No, you don't apologize at all. I love your passion.
Thanks. And that's what drives me. A lot of my decisions are emotionally made. I'm emotionally attached to my imagery, to all the work that I do in this industry. And I want people to feel how I feel about it, Yeah. And I think I'm kind of weird though, because like I'll drive by like a job site with my daughter in the car with me and I'll be like, oh my God, look at that crane. I can't believe what they're doing. And she's like,
oh, I know. I think it's like a rule that children just like don't think what you're doing is cool.
My dad, my uncles, and my grandfather working in the construction industry, I didn't understand it like I do now. I didn't have the love for it then that I do now. I loved them, but I didn't know what they were doing either. It took me having to be exposed to it to understand the depth of the work that they're doing, and how important I felt it is to recognize them.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. So one last little question. I know that there's probably been some sketchy shoots you've been on. And just like safety wise, you're OSHA certified, right?
I am.
And then what can you describe to me your like most sketchy shoot that you did? Or like, is there a thing that kind of like comes up for you or like, yeah, that was dangerous?
Yeah, absolutely. Climbing tower cranes, I could honestly say has been some sketchy work for me. Yeah.
Are you harnessed in?
Crane, no, you're not tied off to anything when you're climbing a crane. You're literally enclosed in this little, metal ladder. And some of them have like that ring around it where you are kind of enclosed while you're climbing. And others, it's just a ladder, like literally straight up.
Going up like a ambulance ladder? Like, is that kind of like all I'm picturing in my brain? Like, how if somebody's trying to get on a roof, but it's straight up.
Yeah, straight up. You're completely vertical. And so my first tower crane was 250 feet and my body hurt for 3 days after that climb. I was really like, oh my gosh.
And don't drop your camera and
no. And what's cool though, like I have a hook on my bag that the tower crane guy would, if they need to hook it up and hoist it up for me, just to make my climb easier. But yeah, 250 was my first one. And then 400 feet while they were dismantling it, I was climbing it. So as
makes
I'm
me
climbing,
a little barfy.
Yeah, totally. This crane is moving. The whole thing's moving. So that last one was probably the scariest for me. And it's actually kind of a funny story behind it. I won't say the name of the crane company, but because they snuck me on the job site. And this was in downtown LA. And they were like, yeah, we're taking down, a 400-foot tower crane, come on out and document us doing that. And I was like, all right, cool. So I go run down there and And as I'm, snapping the guys doing their thing, the boss is like, so you want to climb it? And I'm like, well, yeah, I'm not going to say no to that. And so I start climbing. And as I'm climbing, I'm looking down and I'm starting to notice like security is kind of starting to wrap around the base of the crane.
Oh, no.
They're looking at me with like their cell phones now. And I'm like, what's going on down there? No, I'm just going to keep climbing. And I get to the top, or I'm the next level before the top. And one of the ironworkers comes down to my level and he's like, Tara, I got bad news. And I'm like, what? He's like, you can't come up here. I'm like, what do you mean I can't come up here? I'm like, here, I got one more level and I'm at the top. And he's like, no, they think you're a crazy lady climbing the crane. I'm about to be on the news. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. You guys let me climb this crane. And now there's 10 cops across the street that are going to come over and come get me for trespassing. And I was like, oh my God, what is happening right now? This is not what I had envisioned in this whole thing. And so I climb back down, and I get to the bottom and they've got security on me. They're filming me, asking me what my name is, why I'm there. And I'm like, my name's Jennifer. I mean, I'm lying, I didn't know what to do. I was really in like a state of panic because I thought I was going to get arrested now for trespassing and I'm going to go to jail. And I'm like, they offered to let me climb this.
Not going to throw them under the bus, right? Oh, geez.
No, and I didn't want to get anybody in trouble. And I pride myself on that side of it too, is comfortability and getting them to trust me. And I'm not here to get anybody in trouble. And so luckily, the guys felt bad. And so the dude that let me climb it, there was a couple of them. So one of them started like distracting the security guys while the other one's like, go this way real quick. And literally we just like flipped it. I'm like running off the job site now. And as I come around the corner, here comes the 10 cops. And they didn't even realize who I was because I was already like off the job site. I just had gotten out of the gate and I'm walking down the street. I got one of the tower crane guys with me, or one of the operator guys. And we're just walking like nothing. I got my coffee cup and we're like, and they go around and onto the job site. And I'm like,
oh my gosh, you're a criminal.
Yeah, totally. I'm going to get caught.
You're like, I'm just trying to get a good shot, man. Just leave me alone.
That's all it was.
Was it worth it? Like, did you just climb up there? Did you get any pictures, or did you?
Yeah, I got some great photos.
Oh, good. I'm like, at least you got some pictures.
Yeah. No, that view is incredible. I mean, I would have done it again, I guess, if I had the opportunity to. And, it is what it is. You just swing with the punches and figure it out.
Right. I think my whole body would be like shaking that high in the air. Yeah. Is that what happens?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I had one arm like locked in. Every time I would go to like take a picture of something, I'm like, I feel like I just need to,
not
you're
die.
Up 400 feet. Yeah. To live.
To live another day.
Yes, please.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Well, this has been amazing, Tara, just to hear your story and what you do. And I just love that there's just like this other creative, like art focused side to this industry. And I also love that even though it's hard to speak about, it's fueled by something so passionate. And I can tell that it's just heartfelt for you. And I love that you're in the space that you're meant to be in, that you are doing what you're supposed to be doing and honoring your father and your family through this beautiful art that you do. And I looked at all of your photos and they are incredible. So can you tell the listeners where they can find you and follow you?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
So sweet. Yeah, you can find me. My website is www.ucp.photos. You can find me on Instagram with UCP by Tara.
And then hire you. You're on LinkedIn too, right?
I am. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I'm on every social TikTok platform there is.
Right? Well, more power to you. I'm like, I got Instagram. That's about it. That's about all I can do.
Yeah. It's a lot, but I love it. I love what I do. And so, it just, it works out really well.
Yeah. Well, you're incredible. And I'm so glad that you stuck with it and that you stepped into what you're doing, because you are bringing beautiful awareness to the incredible people out there that build our world. And I love it. So thank you so much again.
That's awesome. Thanks a lot.
Thanks for joining me today on the She Builds Show. My name is Stefanie Olson. My hope is that this episode leaves you feeling empowered and ready to boldly take that step into building the life that you envision, 1 2x4 at a time. And if you can do me a quick favor, please leave me a 5-star review on iTunes. I get giddy over reading the reviews each week, and I will choose one special person to win some She Builds swag. Make sure you add your name to the review, and I'll reach out if you're the winner. Thanks again for hanging out. Be sure to visit me at theshebuildshow.com, where you can ask me questions and share with me what you're building.